Oh gosh, that's a question, isn't it? It's funny why we're here, because it is about getting a diagnosis of cancer, and yet so many things say to me that this was inevitable, to do something like this. And I think, I had hoped to be writing a book on my experiences of working in the health service, and particularly with doctors on their communication. And there's not going to be time for that now, but this feels a not bad second choice. I've been working since I was 16 years old and didn't get formal qualifications until I've been working at least 10 years. So the bit that I guess you mean is that for even before those qualifications, I have worked in the health service almost all my working life. So it's over 40 years. And for 30 of those, I've been involved, sometimes in a small role, sometimes running the show, with helping doctors in training and qualified doctors to get the most from their consultations with their patients. And I've always had a passion for seeing that from both sides. So I was an early member of the Royal College GP and patient group, and I was a member of a well-known patient participation group in North London. That was really important to me, to bring that aspect to the work with doctors, because it is a consultation. It's not a direction. It's not one way. And that I know something that you and I shared was that if doctors ignore that, they actually lose the patient somewhere along the way, and perhaps wouldn't get as good history as they would want to take, and certainly wouldn't get as good relationship as they're trying to build. So I've done that. I was a senior lecturer at King's for many years and did the same at the Royal Free and UCL. So although I've recently, about 12 years ago, gone freelance, and actually, funnily enough, left the doctors behind and their theatres, and actually got a phone call one day from the National Theatre, from somebody I didn't know who was running the show, to say, would I come and work with them doing some coaching. So I'm a chartered psychologist. I love coaching. I bring that psychology training to it, and I now, for the last 12 years, have worked with London theatres, and it's been amazing. And the most amazing thing of all, of course, as you know as well, is that people are people are people, whichever theatre they're in. So here I am, trying to just do my final bit, perhaps, for talking with people who are either about to be patients or are patients, or users of the health service, and people who do the caring. Well, I wouldn't want everybody who's feeling a bit low or run down to think this is them, but that is how I was feeling progressively, really more and more exhausted for the last 3 years, and getting lots of chest infections, pneumonias and bronchitis. And each time, that feeling of haven't quite recovered, just one seemed to add on to another. And did all the usual things, went to the doctor, got more antibiotics, but nothing really finished off that last bit. So I went from one to the other, feeling a bit worse each time. Like many of us these days, I was also very, very busy, and I and other people put that down to just being busy. I kind of felt all along it wasn't, but I had to acknowledge I did live a pretty hectic life, and so perhaps it was that. But for me, it got worse about Christmas time. We're now kind of September. But Christmas, I really did think, gosh, whatever this is, I'm not going to last through to another Christmas. It was that bad. Work again was very busy. One of my clients was very keen that I made a second visit to New York, where the first one nearly killed me. But you don't want to say that to your clients, really. So I did have all sorts of hints like, well, let's see how they get on. And anyway, in the end, I went, and that was in April. And I really didn't think I would come back from New York. I was completely exhausted and just felt really ill. Didn't really feel anything that I would have thought lung cancer would have. I wasn't that breathless. I was breathless, but not really out of breath all the time. But I just felt so very, very tired. And unexplainably had these pains around what now I discover is my liver. But I then got one chest infection after another again, and again have now discovered that those were pneumonias. And finally just had the courage to say, look, I really do need a CT scan. And that's what I was being referred for. I asked for a CT scan and got a call from the receptionist that day to say that it had been arranged, which alerted me a bit because things don't normally happen quite that fast. But I checked with her, so this is the CT scan, and was told, I don't think so, this is for the lung cancer clinic. And my GP hadn't mentioned that, unfortunately, probably to protect me from it, but I'm not the sort of person that takes well to being protected, and that was a real shock, so much of a shock that as a psychologist I know exactly what I did. I completely blanked it out. I just put down the phone very calmly and thought, in the morning I'll understand why that was on that referral letter. And of course GPs write query this and that all the time, and if we don't know that, we can look at a form and think, oh goodness me, I've got this, that and the other. So that's what I put it down to, that it would have had a whole list of things, query this, query that, query just bronchitis again. So I went to work the next day. I was about to do a workshop for a client. Mobile went, hello, I've only got 5 minutes. Oh, that's all right, this is the Macmillan Centre. And that's when I did realise, and that's when I realised that it definitely was that. Mm. So it came in stages. It came as a shock in both those stages. But at that point, also when she said, we'd like you to come and have a scan the next day, well, who gets a scan the next day? I have to say the hospital that I'm at is terrific. I couldn't be in better hands, and that has made a huge difference to how I have dealt with it, but also knowing that I have had the very best, even that if that is nothing in the end, nothing more that can be done. I know that I'm in the best hands, and that's really helped. Yeah, I went to the Macmillan Centre. I wasn't sure exactly what for, because there was a scan and other things, and the first thing was the scan. That was quite scary because I've had a CT scan before. I've had a long-term problem with discs degenerating in my spine, so I've had that kind of investigation before. But there's something about when you have the investigation and quite literally you are lying there, suddenly realising what it is that they're imaging. And again, it sounds daft to say it, but I do believe, and I say it a bit of a mantra, as all my clients will know, there's knowing and there's knowing. So deep inside me, I was pretty sure it would be the thing that I died of. But I was hoping not quite yet. But also that there was a part of me that obviously didn't quite believe that, because lying there, it suddenly made me realise that this was it. It was going to be lung cancer. And you know me, I always find humour in everything, but for me that diagnosis was confirmed when I came out of the scanner, because I went in and everybody was very brusque and very, very nice, very attentive, very professional, but when I came out it was, oh, can I carry your bag for you? And you know, give me a hand back to the changing room, and I just thought, damn it, that's confirmed it for me. That my belief is that we do all go through life in that way. It's like, you know, the kids have all just had their exam results. You know, there are those that can allow themselves to be shocked, and those that feel they have to say, we know, and others that actually do know, either because they haven't put in enough work, or there's just that gut instinct. And ever since childhood, I've used that gut instinct. Never as absolute proof. Don't believe in that. I believe in it's there for you to check out. And it's pretty reliable. And so, again, because it's not absolute, or I never choose to believe it is, there's always that question of doubt. But for me, it was in those early days, literally from 1 hour to the next, here I am. Okay, so I know I've lost weight. I know I'm exhausted. I know I don't feel very well. But hey, I'm a long way from having lung cancer, and that means I'm this particular lung cancer. That's what I knew afterwards. I haven't got that much longer to live. It didn't feel like that. So there's a absolutely solid unrealness about it, that I cannot possibly have something that is going to kill me.